It all started one ordinary morning. Mark, a young man in his early 20s, had a simple dream: to build a life where he was no longer bound by the restrictions of a 9-to-5 job. He dreamt of becoming his own boss, to travel the world, and to live on his own terms. But the path to success, as he soon realized, would not be easy. Mark had always been an average student. In school, he never stood out, nor did he fail. He was content with just passing. But deep down, he knew he could do more. He just didn't know how. Like many others, Mark had dreams that seemed too big for his reality. Every time he tried something new, the fear of failure stopped him before he even started. One day, after another long day at work, Mark was scrolling through social media when he came across a post that changed everything. It was a simple quote by one of the most successful entrepreneurs he had ever heard of: "Success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out." These words struck him like a lightning bolt. Mark decided right then and there that he would stop waiting for the perfect moment. He would start small, but he would start today. He realized that it wasn't about making huge leaps at once, but about making consistent, small efforts that would compound over time. He began with a simple habit: reading for 30 minutes every day. At first, it felt pointless. Some days, he didn't feel like reading at all, and other days, the words on the page just didn't make sense. But he kept going. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Little by little, Mark noticed changes. He was understanding more, and he was applying what he learned to his life. He started to feel more confident. His outlook on life shifted. The idea that success was out of reach began to feel ridiculous. He realized that it was the small steps, done every day, that were leading him toward his goals. But the journey didn't stop there. Mark knew that reading was just one piece of the puzzle. Now, he wanted to learn how to manage his time better, to be more productive, and stay focused on his goals. He began waking up earlier, taking cold showers to shock his body into alertness, and setting daily goals. He even started practicing gratitude, writing down 3 things he was thankful for every morning. These simple habits added up over time, and as they did, Mark felt stronger, both mentally and physically. By the time a year had passed, Mark had transformed. He was no longer the same person who had feared failure. Instead, he was someone who embraced challenges. The road to success wasn't clear yet, but it was a road he had now walked down for long enough to see that the horizon was closer than ever before. Mark's next challenge was his career. He had always been stuck in a routine job that didn't excite him. But now, with his new mindset, he realized he could start building something of his own. He began researching online businesses, freelancing opportunities, and ways to make money while learning new skills. The first few attempts failed. He tried designing logos for clients, but no one hired him. He created a blog, but it barely had any readers. Every failure hurt, but Mark didn't give up. Instead, he analyzed each failure. What went wrong? How could he improve? He started to understand that failure was not the opposite of success. It was part of the journey. Each small mistake taught him something valuable. His confidence grew not because everything was easy, but because he learned to overcome obstacles. Mark also realized the importance of networking. He joined online communities where people shared their success stories and challenges. He reached out to mentors and asked questions. At first, it felt intimidating. Many people didn't reply. Some were too busy, but persistence paid off. Slowly, he started building relationships with experienced individuals who guided him and gave advice. These connections opened doors he never imagined existed. Along the way, Mark discovered the power of mindset. He started meditating for 10 minutes every morning to clear his mind and focus on his goals. He practiced positive affirmations, reminding himself daily, "I am capable. I am learning. I am growing." It felt strange at first, but over time, he noticed a subtle change in how he approached challenges. Obstacles felt smaller, and solutions seemed more visible. Mark also understood the importance of balance. He didn't want to sacrifice his health or happiness for success. So he started exercising regularly, eating healthier, and taking short breaks to recharge. This balance allowed him to work longer and smarter without burning out. By the end of the second year, Mark's efforts began to pay off. His small freelance projects started turning into a steady income. His blog gained loyal readers. More importantly, he realized that the journey itself had transformed him. The skills he had developed, discipline, patience, resilience, were far more valuable than money. They were the foundation of his future success. Mark's story reminds us that success is not about luck or talent alone. It is about consistent effort, learning from failure, and believing in yourself even when progress seems slow. The seeds of achievement are planted every day, and with persistence, they eventually bloom. By the third year, Mark had become more strategic. He understood that working hard was not enough. He needed to work smart. He created a schedule to manage his time efficiently, dividing his day into learning, working, and resting. He prioritized tasks that would bring the most impact and learned to say no to distractions. One of Mark's biggest lessons was learning to set SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Instead of vague goals like, "I want to be successful," he set precise targets. "I will complete an online marketing course in 3 months," or "I will reach 1,000 blog subscribers in 6 months. These clear goals kept him focused and motivated, and he could track his progress accurately. Mark also faced moments of doubt. Some months, he earned very little money despite working hard. He wondered if all the effort was worth it. But he reminded himself of the quote that started it all: "Success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out." He realized that temporary setbacks were part of the journey. Each small step, even when it seemed insignificant, was moving him closer to his dream. During this period, Mark discovered the power of learning from others. He read biographies of successful entrepreneurs, watched TED Talks, and listened to podcasts. He noticed a pattern. Almost every successful person had one thing in common: discipline and consistency. No matter the obstacles, they kept moving forward. This inspired Mark to push even harder. He also began journaling daily. Writing down his thoughts, successes, and failures helped him reflect and make better decisions. On tough days, reading his own entries reminded him how far he had come and motivated him to keep going. Journaling became a tool to celebrate small wins, which was essential for staying motivated. Mark's social life changed as well. He started surrounding himself with people who shared his drive and ambition. Negative friends who doubted him or discouraged his efforts slowly faded out of his life. Instead, he built relationships with like-minded individuals who encouraged learning, growth, and productivity. By the end of the third year, Mark's skills had grown tremendously. His income stabilized, his blog had thousands of readers, and he had begun mentoring beginners in the field. But more importantly, he had developed the mindset of someone who knows that consistent effort, patience, and resilience are the true keys to success. By the fourth year, Mark began to explore new opportunities. He realized that diversifying his skills could open doors to bigger achievements. He started learning digital marketing, web design, and content creation. At first, it felt overwhelming. So many new skills, so little time. But he remembered his principle: small, consistent steps every day. Mark divided his learning into manageable chunks. For example, he studied digital marketing for 30 minutes in the morning, practiced web design for 45 minutes in the afternoon, and created content for his blog in the evening. It wasn't easy. Some days were exhausting, and sometimes progress seemed slow. But the cumulative effect of daily effort was undeniable. Around this time, Mark also learned about the importance of feedback. He shared his work with peers and mentors, seeking constructive criticism. Initially, receiving feedback felt uncomfortable. It highlighted his mistakes. But he quickly realized that feedback was a tool for improvement. Each suggestion he applied made his work stronger and more professional. Another important lesson was embracing failure as a teacher. One of his first digital campaigns failed miserably, costing him both time and a small amount of money. At first, he felt frustrated, but instead of giving up, he analyzed every aspect of the campaign, learning why it didn't work. The lessons from failure became the stepping stones to future success. Mark also started experimenting with small online projects that could generate passive income. He created an ebook about productivity tips and sold it online. The sales were modest at first, but every transaction boosted his confidence. Slowly, he was turning his knowledge and experience into tangible results. During this year, Mark realized the power of consistency across multiple areas. Reading, learning new skills, networking, and working on projects, all combined, created a synergy. He was no longer just gaining knowledge. He was building a personal brand, a portfolio, and a future. The fourth year ended with Mark feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. He was no longer the uncertain, hesitant young man from years before. He had transformed into someone capable of taking control of his life, learning from every experience, and making consistent progress toward his dreams. In the fifth year, Mark's efforts began to attract attention. His blog had grown to thousands of readers, and his small online projects were generating steady income. More importantly, people started recognizing him as someone knowledgeable and reliable. This recognition brought new opportunities, freelance offers, collaborations, and even invitations to speak at online workshops. Despite the growing success, Mark stayed humble and disciplined. He knew that complacency could undo all his hard work. Each day, he reminded himself that consistent effort mattered more than short-term achievements. His mantra became, "Small daily progress leads to big results." Mark also started mentoring others. He realized that sharing his experience not only helped beginners, but also reinforced his own knowledge. Explaining concepts, guiding others, and providing feedback sharpened his skills and boosted his confidence. He discovered that helping others grow could be as rewarding as personal success. This year, Mark also embraced strategic planning. He set both short-term and long-term goals. Short-term goals included finishing online courses and completing projects on time. Long-term goals involved building a recognized brand and achieving financial independence. Planning allowed him to focus on what mattered most and avoid distractions that wasted time. Another important lesson Mark learned was adaptability. The online world was constantly changing. Algorithms, trends, and tools evolved quickly. He realized that rigid thinking would limit his growth. By staying open to new ideas and embracing change, Mark could continuously improve his skills and stay ahead. Mark's health and well-being remained a priority. Even with increasing responsibilities, he continued exercising, meditating, and maintaining a balanced diet. Physical and mental health became the foundation for sustained productivity and creativity. By the end of the fifth year, Mark had become not just a skilled professional, but also a resilient and resourceful individual. He had learned that success wasn't about luck or a single big breakthrough. It was about consistent effort, learning, adapting, and growing over time. By the sixth year, Mark was ready to take bigger risks. His previous projects had provided him with experience, confidence, and a small financial cushion. Now, he wanted to launch something that could have a greater impact. A comprehensive online platform to teach English, productivity, and personal development skills to a global audience. Building the platform was challenging. Mark faced technical difficulties, design issues, and countless hours of work. Sometimes he felt overwhelmed, but he reminded himself of a key principle. Consistency beats intensity. Even when progress was slow, showing up every day brought him closer to his goal. Mark also learned the importance of delegation. He realized he couldn't do everything alone if he wanted to grow. He hired freelance developers, designers, and content creators. Learning to trust others and coordinate efforts was a big step in his personal and professional growth. Marketing the platform presented another set of challenges. Social media, email campaigns, and SEO required new skills. Each small strategy he implemented built momentum. Sometimes campaigns failed, sometimes they succeeded, but Mark never gave up. Every experiment taught him something valuable about his audience and the best ways to reach them. Alongside professional growth, Mark continued personal development. He practiced mindfulness, reflected on his journey, and focused on long-term vision rather than immediate gratification. These practices kept him grounded and motivated even during stressful times. By the end of the sixth year, the the platform launched. It wasn't perfect, but it was live. Students from different countries began enrolling, providing feedback, and sharing their progress. Mark felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He realized that the journey itself, the struggles, learning, and daily efforts, was just as meaningful as the result. Mark's story shows that success is built step by step, day by day. Consistency, patience, and resilience transform small actions into life-changing results. In the 7th year, Mark's platform started gaining significant traction. Students were sharing testimonials about how his lessons had improved their English and personal skills. Mark realized that his consistent work over the years had created something much bigger than himself, a positive impact on others' lives. With growing success came new challenges. The platform required regular updates, customer support, and marketing. Sometimes Mark felt stretched too thin, but he knew the key to maintaining momentum was sustainable consistency, doing what he could each day without burning out. He prioritized, scheduled tasks, and continued learning ways to work smarter, not just harder. Mark also began mentoring ambitious young entrepreneurs. He shared his journey, explaining the importance of starting small, embracing failures, and building habits that last. His own story became an inspiration, showing that anyone could transform their life with patience and persistent effort. One of the most important lessons Mark embraced was grace under pressure. No matter what challenges came, technical glitches, dissatisfied customers, or financial uncertainty, he maintained calm, evaluated options, and made decisions without panic. This attitude not only improved his effectiveness, but also earned him respect from his team and clients. Mark's personal life also benefited from his consistency. He had developed routines that balanced work, health, learning, and leisure. He spent weekends reading, exercising, and enjoying time with close friends. These habits reinforced his resilience and creativity. By the end of the 7th year, Mark understood a deeper truth. Success is not a final destination, but a continuous journey of learning, adapting, and growing. Every small, consistent effort compounded over time, transforming him into a capable, confident, and impactful individual. In the 8th and final year of this journey, Mark reflected on how far he had come. From an uncertain, hesitant young man to a confident, resilient entrepreneur and mentor, his transformation was profound. But the journey was never about overnight success. It was about daily, deliberate effort and unwavering consistency. Mark's platform had become well-known internationally. Students were thriving, sharing their progress, and even teaching others. Mark realized that impact was the true measure of success. Money and recognition were gratifying, but the ability to change lives, inspire others, and share knowledge was priceless. Looking back, Mark saw that the turning point had been his decision to start small and stay consistent. Reading for 30 minutes a day, journaling, learning new skills, networking, and embracing failures. All these habits had compounded into extraordinary results. It was never a sudden leap, but a series of small steps taken every single day. Mark also recognized the power of mindset. He had cultivated patience, resilience, discipline, and optimism. Challenges no longer intimidated him. They became opportunities to grow. Failures were teachers, and successes were reminders of what consistent effort could achieve. Now, Mark's focus was on scaling impact. He collaborated with other educators, expanded his courses, and created mentorship programs. But even as he grew, he never lost sight of the foundation, the daily habits, routines, and mindset that had built his success. In the end, Mark's story is a reminder to everyone. Start small, start today. Keep going, even when progress seems slow. Learn from failures and embrace challenges. Consistency compounds over time. True success is measured by growth, resilience, and impact. Mark's journey shows that anyone, regardless of background or current circumstances, can transform their life through patience, persistence, and purposeful action. Every day is an opportunity to take one small step closer to your dreams.